this out. Before we get started, if you're listening to us on our Mumbo Sauce Radio YouTube channel and haven't done so, hit that subscribe button and that bell notification so you can get notified whenever we drop a new episode or go live. And if you're listening to us on Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or TuneIn, subscribe to us there as well. All right, now let's get to it.
You are now listening to the Mumbo Sauce Podcast.
Hell yeah.
Keeping it litty for the Chocolate City.
Hey,
Yeah.
what up, man? It's your man, Tony Tong.
And your boy John.
Man, you listening to the Mumbo Sauce Podcast, man. We live out here in Richmond, VA, man.
Cap City. What
Yes,
it do?
sir.
Whole Southside, man.
Where we at, man? What's this joint called again?
Man, I don't know. We off Midlothian Turnpike.
Kick back,
Hey,
kick
man,
back
shout
Jack.
out to my man Nezzo. The whole Southside, Mosby Court,
What up, Mosby Court? What up,
Church
Nezzo?
Hill.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know about Richmond, Broad Street.
Yeah.
I like to go down there to Santi's and get me a barbecue chicken pizza.
See, I don't know nothing about that. They gonna have to show me around.
And then I go over there to Auntie Anne's and get a hot piece of fried chicken with a pancake. I like syrup on my chicken.
Somebody bougie.
But yeah, man, the topic of this discussion is the music in this generation trash? What say you? You know what I'm saying?
Big Sean.
No, I'm gonna go last. I think I'm gonna clean it up. Let's just say that. So I'm gonna throw it to. Let's start with Kenji and end with me.
Okay.
Alright, what's up, everybody? KD. And,
Yes, sir.
I don't think the generation.
That's okay. He don't really need it.
Can you hear me? I don't think I think there's a difference between the music, but I don't think any music is trash because I think it's subjective to the people who are receiving it. So it just depends on what you grow up on, what you value, what sonically feels good to you, and where you are at the time. Because sometimes it's music that I love that I don't want to hear because I'm going through certain things at certain times. So at the end of the day, I just think, creativity is subjective to the user, and it's really a young man's game, but I think through hip-hop we've shown that it can stand the test of time, and now we have people who are 50 years old who are still prominent and heavy in the game that are to be just as respected as the young guys, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So
That's real. That's true. Very true.
Music is forever, you know what I'm saying? It's just vibrations and it's a story to tell. But a lot of the times it's used for the wrong reason, I think. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like a lot of times it's oversaturated with the everyday 1-2 step. But like, there's still people who have real experiences and have learned how to articulate that through their music, and that's what makes it, legendary in my mind.
Do you think today's music is album worthy? What's an album to you?
I will say, like, today, a lot of the young guys now, there are less than 5% probably that I would say that make album-worthy music because it's so dime a dozen. It's just like where we coming from, living in the DMV, like everybody got a t-shirt company, so everybody selling something, a shirt with something on it, but what makes sure is the one everybody want. Like, it gotta be relatable. So, to answer that question, I really don't think that there are a lot of album-worthy musicians at this point in time.
I just wanted to ask you that question so I can go ahead and make my
I grew
point
up
a
on
little
Scarface,
bit.
but I ain't even gonna get into all that. I can say what I grew up on, but the era that we grew up in, you had to have album-worthy music because music wasn't so abundant as it is now. Like, when we came out, you got an album that it took months, sometimes a year for it to come out, and then what ended up happening was once you got it, you sat with it for 6 months to a year before you got another one from that artist. Mm-hmm. Now, it may be somebody else who come out and, they did it quarterly. So you might have somebody who dropped in September, and you might have somebody who dropped in July. And they may be nothing alike, but at the same time, it kind of filled in the gaps of what you were looking for substance-wise.
Right.
So JayZ might come out in September. Well, he was usually a fourth quarter dude. So he's usually December, January, January's the first quarter, but November, December.
The summer.
So you got people who gonna light up the summer, and then you got some people who gonna round out the year. So
and that all has to do with the frequency of music because during the summer, music is more up-tempo. We're going out, we're cooking out.
Show your legs.
you a little bit more lower register. You're in the house.
Hoodie season. You know that the Locks made that famous.
Making babies and all that. Making love music during the winter might sell because you're in the house with your lady.
So my question is, what's the difference between a mixtape and an album?
The derivation of it?
No, not generation of it.
I said the derivation. Like,
because he asked me, is there an album worthy?
Well, now we're in the age
music.
of EPs. We don't even have mixtapes anymore, bro. They made mixtapes illegal.
Okay.
So, like, you remember Drama got locked up for making, like, the guys we grew up on, DJ Clue, K-Slay,
DJ Green Lantern and all that.
There you go, Tony Touch. Like, we came up in that era,
right.
but
so explain to me.
DJ Clue.
So explain to me what do you think a mixtape is? Did he get arrested because? All right, explain that to me.
All right. I'll tell you the best way from my perception is that it was kind of like playing around in your house. Like if you rhymed over an instrumental, right? Mm-hmm. It's free. It was nothing to it.
Yeah.
Mixtapes came from, all right, let's rhyme over people's instrumentals because it don't cost us nothing. We're sharing it amongst ourselves. It's kind of like burning CDs, how that became popular, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But then what happened is the government, however they caught wind, I don't know how, but what ended up happening is that they started putting cases on people for doing what was created in our homes and in our basements.
The money.
So now, what's happening now is that they force people, it was copyright infringement. What they really didn't have to enforce, it's like getting somebody for jaywalking, basically.
So what's an EP?
An EP, they're doing this, it's the same mentality, but they're using beats that aren't other people's beats no more. So now I'm taking a producer, creating a smaller experience to create the same type of vibration, if that makes any sense.
Wow.
So my thing was, what I see now is a lot of people who put out albums, sometimes their EPs, I thought they were mixtape because they would say such and such mixtape, right? But their EPs be better than their albums, and I don't understand that.
That's true. And another thing to add on with EPs is that contractually, a mixtape didn't count as towards, like, you was in a contract, right? And you got to drop so many projects in XYZ amount of years. EPs count towards that now. So instead of dropping a 12 song project or album, if I put out two EPs, or if I drop EPs quarterly, instead of putting out one album per year, I can drop 4 EPs and cover the same ground and get credit towards getting out of my contract. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Some people work harder in the EP because you're trying to get that attention, too. Because you get one shot. You're not putting out 4 or 5 songs. You're putting out one jump. So you come hard with that. So you got to keep that consistency going as an artist. You know, if you're going to drop.
Because to me, like what I was getting to and what we really was discussing to have this subject is, to me, it's just a cycle, B. I remember back in the day, they had 45s. The 45s to me is just a basic track that they put out, and everybody go buy that track. You know what I'm saying? Before even full-fledged albums came out. You know what I mean? To me, I don't think they say that. I feel like it's the same thing. It's just digital. You know what I'm saying?
What you think, Tom?
I don't know. I'm just listening to y'all.
Can I say something, though? I think, like, you asked about mixtapes and then album material, you know? It's like when you drop a mixtape. All right, bro, bless.
Yeah, bro. All right, man.
When you drop a mixtape, that's like sparring a little bit. It's just showing people you can box. When you drop the album, you showing people you can fight. Mixtape is just like, you just rhyming a little bit. Like, you know, you just rhyming on the beat. It ain't really no thoughts. You just rhyming. The album is supposed to be well put together. Your album need to be well put together, and it need to be a puzzle. It need to be a big picture that comes out, man.
So that's basically the definition of an album. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Like a book.
All right. So, how do you feel? How do y'all feel? You know, I'm gonna clean it up. You know what I'm saying? But how do y'all feel? Like he said about how the last probably 4 years of how they're putting albums out.
Like, it's a lot of albums out here that need to be dropped, but the artists haven't mentally committed. A lot of dope artists don't even know that they that dope right now, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like the ones that I would really like to see good bodies of work for, I know that from what I've heard in the snippets, or what I would say is in relation to the EP versus the mixtape, the EP gives you a peekaboo effect to the artist. Like if the beat might be dope, you know what I'm saying? The sonically might be just what you want, but all right. So like I brought up Summer Walker on the previous podcast that I spoke on. She dropped the joint she got like 30 second songs on the joint. It's just enough to give you a taste, but like, all right, well, what if somebody wants to go further with that? Is this what you build? This is, all right, well, I take in my mind, I'm gonna take the response from the EP and build up and, all right, take the feedback from that and put that on the album, right?
What you're really saying is the EP is basically for promotion for the album, right?
All right, so look, when we was coming up, right, they used to have CD singles, and a lot of times there would be a radio version, there was an instrumental, and there was an extended version, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I got you.
That's what they've done now. They're taking that to, all right, well, I don't even know what the longest EP is. I think maybe the most I've seen is
I got you. It's just that to me, all right, some people's albums, they might have 8 albums, right? It's probably one that I could be like, and I'm speaking of a certain artist. It's like one to me that I was like, that is a classic album to me. That he put his foot down, and he's saying that I'm here on this particular album. He's an R&B artist too, but his EPs, I feel like his mixtapes was better than his albums, all his albums to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we about to get happy in a minute. You know what I'm saying? But to me, so that's why I feel like some people's EPs, I felt like they was mixtapes.
Right.
Be better than, and to me it's like, and it be those things. There's no promotion. They just throw it out there, and I be like, yo.
Yeah, and that's the dope part about. I think really right now we're going through. I don't think it's been perfected because I don't even think they really realize that it's so parallel to what it used to be, but what's happening is that it's finding a track for balance.
All right.
Because we're trimming the fat off the meat, really, at the end of the day.
Do you feel like, because we've been like, the whole thing with this is, you had the reel-to-reels, you had the 8-track, you had cassette tapes, and albums, and then you had CDs. And now, I was watching a podcast, and it was like one of the reasons they made CDs was because it was so cheap. And then they knew that everybody was going to go back and buy, when they had albums, they went back and bought all CDs that had those certain people. You know what I mean? Like Thriller. Every week, Thriller was selling 40,000 units because people was going back to buy those CDs. You know what I'm saying? So do you feel like with all these streaming services, the reason why the music is not, because if you like a specific artist, right, and they throw it out there and they're connected to Apple Music or Spotify or whatever, that you're going to go to that and you probably listen to it for probably 2 or 3 days, and then you pick the songs you want and make your playlist. Do you think that's why they putting out music so much?
Yeah. Because when you buy an album now, you buy it one time.
Yeah.
You don't go back and
now
buy
you don't even have to buy the album. Like if you subscribe to the streaming service,
that's what I'm saying.
You can play it whenever you want, as long as you pay your bill every month.
That also ties into people signing with these major labels because you don't need the major label to make the music, but you do need the major label to expose you and market it. And those major labels have connections to the streaming people that's going to stream and play the music. So those are that's one of the benefits of signing with the major people.
Absolutely.
But
it's a marketing machine.
Right. So but the con is when they promote you and stream you like that, they going to get all that money up off of you.
They're going to give you something up front, but then that back end is going to...
Yeah, the back end is what's going to eat you up. So it's like, it's pros and cons.
But you really make your money off the performance, right?
Shows.
Yeah, shows, yeah.
That's what a lot of people
word of mouth. You put on a good show...
And it's gonna constantly keep. Okay.
So the tour money is what?
Yeah, the tour. Yeah, the tour. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'm talking about you saying till you tired or you play till you.
Well, funny enough, I just heard another conversation off record today. They was talking about festivals because we've already seen that people who you can put out one album like old school, Frankie Beverly, Sade, people like that. Might drop one album, and they've been touring for the last 30, 40 years, right?
We spoke about that.
Was it the rock and roll group? What was it? You saw me.
The Eagles?
Was it Queen or something like that?
No. It was
somebody.
It was
Kiss. There you go.
Yeah, Kiss.
People that have
Kiss really didn't have good album. They might have one good album.
One iconic album.
But they toured so much because it's Kiss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So now with the millennials, I will say, because it's not really. It's a handful of us involved, like our generation. But what's happening is now they've curated having festivals. So you got Rolling Loud, Lil Wayne got his joint, Made in America, like festivals are the thing now. So like, instead of having a tour that's going on year round, we have one big event and clean up. You know what I mean? So it's more effective to do it one time and make it a bigger. It's not just the music, but it's a greater experience involved because you come stay for the weekend, you eat the food here, you get this, people are coming together doing other things that are not related to the music, but it's a vibe, you know what I'm saying?
So
there you go. It's a whole experience now. Because now instead of, all right, somebody's coming to Richmond, we're gonna go out to the show tonight and go home and go to work tomorrow. No, we're taking off for the weekend and we're going to LA and lose our mind and have the best time of our life. You know what I mean?
Right. So it's weird. So when these festivals, right? Like, all right, let's say like right now, with all the new artists and what everybody's doing, like what? So they're making the most money being on shows, right?
Yeah.
Basically, right? So what do you think they're really trying to come? What are they trying to? Like, I think every generation was actually trying to do something. Like, what are they trying to do now? Are they trying to put the best product out there, or are they trying to? Or do you feel like in the 70s, man, from what I see, it was good music, but they was trying to really find what's the next big thing. It was like the closing or transition. The transition is something. You know what I
mean? Just real short, I think they've already found their thing as far as their thing is being accepted, having their expression accepted.
Okay.
Because there's such a gap between us and them. Like, we have children that are in that age range and siblings who are in that age range, but we haven't really done our responsibility as reaching back and showing them that it's okay to be who they are.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, in the 50s, it was like, a little bit of gospel, a little bit of rock and roll just started and the jazz beat.
Right.
So in the 60s, it was a little more freer, right? You got Woodstocks, you got that. And then in the 70s, it was disco. It was all about the
fever.
The fever,
the nightlife.
Right, and the drugs and the,
that nightlife.
That nightlife, the sex and all that.
All of that is still there.
Okay,
it was hot.
And then 80s, it was all about hip hop. It was about, big hair. It was about, but they all have different sounds, right? So in the 90s, it was about, it was getting a lot of hip hop, but then we started getting rap in it. Because really that's when rap came into the play. Yeah, and then like in the 2000s, that's where I get lost. In the 2000s.
That's where the creativity spawned. Mm-hmm. The children that are out now, those are the kids that came from that 2000s era. Most of them were born in the late 90s, early 2000s, and now they're new adults.
Well, but that's the thing. In 2000, it was basically a repeat of all those what we already knew. So now we're talking when we're going into the future, right? In 2 years, there's going to be a new sound because every 10 years we have a new sound. So what is there going to be our new sound?
Well, no, we can't say what it is. I just got finished telling Tori before he exited the room. He was asking me about trap music, and I said, think about it. Well, trap music was, to us, 2004 to 2006. The hardest thing coming out in trap music was probably Gucci Mane and Waka Flocka at that time. And then these guys called Migos came out with a mixtape. It wasn't an album, it was a mixtape, to bring it full circle, Sean. That mixtape is what we're living now, almost 10 years, well, a little, probably over about 7 years or something like that. But it wasn't that anything happened bad. That's what he was asking me about with go-go music. What happened? I said, go-go music is popular in D.C. Go-go music was popular in rap music until LL Cool J came out. Junkyard Band is from Southeast Washington, D.C. They were signed to Def Jam Music Group as well before LL Cool J came into play. If you go back and listen to a lot of those older rap songs, they're go-go influenced via Junkyard and Trouble Funk, who was with Curtis Blow.
So you believe that this is going to be the next?
It's a juggernaut. Yeah, right. Like we don't know what is coming. It's just gonna happen organically.
I remember early 2000s, maybe late 90s. Cash Money came and they had a little dude by the name of Lil Wayne. And I remember my cousin telling me that Lil Wayne was going to change the game. So about what, 05? 04, 05? Probably really 05, right? And that's when Lil Wayne came, and he really changed the whole sound of hip hop at the time and music. He just did the where's it, the Orange Bowl? He did the halftime show at for Clemson and somebody help me out here. Clemson, Alabama. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Gotcha. He just a hand, but when you see hip hop now and these young kids, he is the one that run that genre of music.
And you also got
but he's the one. He's the one. Once he hit, because I remember, and this is when I changed. I remember talking to a young dude at this grocery store. I was like, so who's the best rapper right now? He said Lil Wayne. He was looking at me in my face like Lil Wayne. And I was like, really? He didn't even blink twice. He ain't blink twice. But this is what I'm saying. When he said that, I was like, man, you tripping. Lil Wayne, man, he won, blah, blah. But at the same time, I had to remember when I was young. You know what I'm saying? And you had those older dudes, because we keep having these certain guys who's supposed to be the faces on the mountaintop of the best rappers. And you supposed to be, nah, man, generation, it's 2019. Hip hop started in the 80s. Man.
Ain't no glue in the seats of hip hop, bro. That's how I feel.
And if you young, you supposed. That's the beautiful thing, is that hip hop, they didn't even think it was gonna be what it is. And to see my little brother, who was 18 years younger than me, he in his room, he got his headphones and he nodding his head to whatever he listening to, and that's just, to me, that's wonderful. Right. Because he listening to that. That's the beautiful thing of it. Just like if you have a rock band or a go-go band. That what they doing? Oh, they downstairs in the basement practicing.
Word.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? That's the beauty of creativity and beauty of music. I remember in the 70s, I'm sorry, y'all got me going, I'm going to go.
All right, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? I remember we were just having a conversation with probably one of the best albums ever wrote. When we was talking about King R&B, was a guy by the name of Marvin Gaye, who basically, I think they said 8 or 12 hours, wrote the whole album of what's going on. And he basically was telling a story about what the soldiers from Vietnam said.
His brother. There you
go.
His brother was drafted, and he just.
And then that opened the door. That transition opened the door for people like.
Shout out
after
Uptown,
that, Stevie Wonder
DC.
took over. And then my aunt said she used to just sit back, and they used to, they used to have these big speakers and stereo systems with reel-to-reels and 8-track, and they would put these big headphones on. You was a player back in the day. What you doing? Listening to Jermaine Jackson and the 8-track. I'm saying they had the headphones on. Well, let me listen to it, and then put the headphones on her. You see what I'm saying? And they would just sit there and just sit back and just drift away, listening to Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, my daughter like that.
And then you go back to like late 80s, that big box. I'm just saying, man, like a lot of stuff that's going on. We done seen this before. Right. You know what I mean?
I got something, just a little add on. My grandmother was talking to me like within the last year, and she was explaining to me like the importance of music and radio and television being incorporated. When we grew up, we pretty much had a TV. Like, well, our age group, we was lucky to have a TV in the living room. Everybody didn't have TVs in the bedroom at the time. You didn't have cable. If you had cable in your living room, you was Gucci. But where we come from, you was lucky to have, game consoles were just being created, so everybody didn't have access to these things. So, like, as I was talking to my grandmother, she was explaining the fact that they came from not having a TV and the whole family being in the house, and they listened to the radio all the time, and it wasn't even music on the radio all the time. They were listening to people talk, like as we're able to do it right now. But they were just trying to hear people talking something other than what was going on, around the way. Oh yeah, it was a mental escape, just like what you were saying with the young lady with the headphones. Like it gave me a vision when you said that.
Yeah. Well, when did we get to the point where if somebody is able to lay something down on the beat, right? Or this and that. When did we get to the point that we started judging their creativity? You understand what I'm saying? Remember back in the day, I was watching Fab Five Freddy, right? This is Yo MTV Raps. He's in a underground sewer, and then these two dudes who actually changed hip hop in 1989 by the name of Das Effects, because everybody after them rap like them. Right?
I figured they found.
They was in the sewer. They looked weird as can be. And I knew he was looking at them like, oh, so this is what y'all do. He never hated on anything because it's all creativity. I don't understand why we get to this point where we got to the point we judge.
There's no soul in the music now. And that's part of what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
There's no soul in the music nowadays. None. if we have more soul, more creativity will come out of the music.
I have to disagree.
The genre gaps between what you guys were talking about earlier, the genre gaps all had a difference in music because it was different voices.
Y'all can put that one in the middle. It'll be good because I can hear KD real good. You good, bro. Just leave that right there.
There's different voices and different stuff being said at that time. Right now, let's just talk about the hip-hop, okay? The hip-hop right now is still talking about the same stuff we grew up off of in the 2000s. Nothing has changed. It's still talking about drugs and all that stuff like that. It's time for a change.
For you guys.
It hasn't, but the thing is the responsibility of the people. When we were teenagers, we didn't reach back and make sure that they didn't have to do the same thing. We left them. So that's why they're singing the same old song, because we didn't fix the problem.
Yeah.
I got one for you.
They're victims. They're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, they did what we're doing. They're trying to duplicate it, but it will never be the same.
What I try to do, when you think of the 80s, right? I'm doing rock. Because I'm trying to give you a different place so you can see it from a different place. I remember a heavy metal band was like, they toured for 3 years off a big album, and when they came back, they wasn't popping no more. It was grunge. You know what I'm saying? It was a grunge style of like Nirvana and stuff like that. And why is that? They basically, those dudes listened to all their music, but they were kids from their music. So what was their parents doing that made these kids be so unhappy and be so aggressive? You see what I'm saying? I'm no disrespect to you, but I think a lot of that's what I wanted to do with this is that I think as older people, we really judging these people. We forget that we was like them.
We was like them, but it's time for them to have their own voice.
They are having their own voice. If you're not really, the whole thing, this is the thing, if you're really not listening to the music, see, I went on the road and really was listening, and I'm listening to this young man, and he is a rapper, and he made me like it because his energy was so good. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I hate to be getting old, you know, a lot of our parents like, man, I don't know what they talk about.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? To the West Coast, let me ask you, to a lot of times, like, I'm from the Midwest, so once a lot of West Coast came, because they use a lot of old samples, they really wasn't listening to a lot of hip hop. So they was using Roger Troutman. They were using a lot of soulful samples that made them
Funkadelics.
Yeah, they was using those samples.
Exactly, but it was still different. They switched it up and made it their own.
Yeah, but they did, but see, that's the problem. Also, a lot of these older dudes won't even clear samples for them to do that.
Wow.
You know, I mean, you also have to think about where they are right now, right? Because anybody with a phone can do a mix on their phone and lay out a rap or a beat or something and post it the next second.
Yeah, things change.
There's so much out there, you know, and it's about, nowadays it's not even about the quality, it's about the quantity and how you get it out. And if you have so many and then suddenly you're going to be famous, and that's not the way it's going anymore.
Can I speak on that? Because this is the first time I said something like, all right, so even though, like, you from the Midwest, right? And back in the day, they took, like, old school samples and made them into records. That's an art form in itself, because me and him make beats, right? And sampling is hard, you know what I mean? To manipulate a song that has already been recorded and change it up and chop it up into pieces and create it and make it into something new. See, that's why hip-hop started, because we didn't have a live band. We didn't have keyboards, and we didn't know how to play all of that. So we just chopped up samples and made our own beats so we can rhyme over top of it. See, the old school hip-hop, the way we learned from a certain blueprint. There's certain formulas that you had to do, and there's no formula anymore because everything is just done for you.
It's the progression of technology has created a blueprint.
But at the same time, though, like, so for an example, Grandmaster Flash and who is it, Kool Herc? Kool Herc created the DJing, you know what I mean? So the techniques that they created, now they put them in a program and made it easier for you to do it. So that's a good thing because now, you know what I'm saying, like we can mass produce things.
And that's what I'm saying.
Quicker ourselves.
And it's gonna, and that's how it's gonna take some time. But like, man, I'm telling you, I listen to music. I'm really an R&B guy. You know what I'm saying? And I know hip hop, and I got that ear for something I know you can't market. You know what I mean? And I'm not negative. I'm never judging anybody's creativity. You know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I never really sat down and listened because I'm still listening to the same stuff. Man, I feel like listening to this. I feel like listening to that. I'm really not. I'm not sitting down and really listening to what these young kids listen to. But when I was on the road, I had to because this dude is driving, and I'm sitting here listening. I'm like,
did you like it or you hated it?
But I have to like because I'm a hip hop head. You go kid. You gonna
what you think about that little baby?
Like my one boy. Oh my God. What
you think about that little baby joint?
I just look. First time I met my dude Donovan. Right. This is what I heard. I just bought a handgun. Look in it. I'm like this. I'm like, and he got so hyped when he was doing it, and I'm sitting here like, okay, how come I feel like I'm in a Vex? If you don't calm down, I just, like, you know what I mean?
This goes back to what I was saying about individuality. It was Illmatic didn't happen by happenstance. He was born into that situation. His father was a jazz musician. He grew up with that. His father let him and his brother drop out of school early to create. I don't care if y'all go get a job, but you can't go back to school with it not respecting you properly. I know your value. Look. So that's what those type of situations spawned that creativity. It wasn't just that they was sitting at home rhyming because they was dope. The hardship made them dope. But a lot of these kids, dog, having a laptop now is just like having a cell phone. These kids, a lot of them not living hard. There are some that are living hard, don't get me wrong. But the majority of these kids got a laptop and a cell phone, so they still got a way out. We had to read or write, you know what I'm saying, and get it out your head.
Even if you people still got problems in their mind and still got such and such. So it ain't about just living. Man, Illmatic, be honest with you, Illmatic was a very important album, and they knew he was a bad boy. And they was like, look, he gonna get the best producers, he gonna get the best this, he gonna be back because New York was still trying to win. Let's just be honest. What year that come out?
New York was winning in 92.
What year that came out?
92.
No, it didn't.
92, 93.
92?
92, 93.
Right, but
it was 92.
I remember him being compared to Tupac. They was talking about he was East Coast. I remember that.
Nas wrote that album when he was 15, B.
Cool. But at the same time, so I remember a lot of people put their money in there because they were trying to get it to win.
Exactly.
So look,
that's what
he had the best producers. Did he not have the best producers?
Correct.
Come on, let's be real.
Hold on,
and he needed an East Coast album, and he gave him what everybody wanted. That's
correct. All right, but you heard what I just said, right? He was 15 years old. Yeah. What did you ask me before about young and old? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
The young dudes, he was 15.
What did he ask you before?
So think of, I'm just saying, like, just bringing it full circle, like the young dudes that's making music now versus the old music. The old music was the young dudes that we holding on to. The dudes that we praise, really.
Nas was breading because I was just watching a movie and it was Roxanne, the movie on Netflix. Yeah. And she was teaching him how to flow and how to have his material right. You know, she was challenging him.
She was like, come back, you know.
When you ready. You know what I'm saying? When you ready. You know
she knew he was nice, but she just didn't want him to.
But he was important. Like people, I'm telling y'all, man. It was a passing of the torch.
Yeah. Word.
Because MC Search found him and all these, and they took him up there and all that. You know what I'm saying?
Female rap, not to get sidetracked, but they don't get enough credit for that era, dog. Because it was dudes riding around listening to Salt and Pepper, Roxanne, Shantae. Like, it was hard at that time, and the females was very dominant at that time in rap, man. And a lot of people don't talk about that.
I remember. Okay, I'm gonna go here. There's a story that in the 70s, Rick James saved Motown. Okay, like that's what he did. Like in the 80s, he did a lot of the music for Motown, and he opened up and was Prince. So they said the way, you know how Morris Day treated him?
You're saying Rick James opened up for Prince?
No. Prince opened up. I'm sorry. Prince opened up for Rick James.
Rick James never opened up for anybody.
Yeah, I got you. My bad. Here. Give it to me. I hear you, Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
Don't do that shit to me no more. No, but what I'm saying is, I listened from the first album until Purple Rain. When he shined, he had to find what his sound was. Because my favorite Prince album was Dirty Mind, and that's because when he wasn't really selling records.
Was Darling Nikki on that one?
No, that's Purple Rain. You see what I'm saying? So Dirty Mind, you was with me when I really listened to everything, and I was like, Purple Rain, he really captured. He got more aggressive, and And Rick James, you play too soft. You need to go hard. And Prince was real smart, so he soaked up everything. Then he stole his synthesizers because Rick James had the best keyboards. He stole his keyboards and then he used them for, I think, Dirty Minds. That's that album, and then gave them back to him. But the way he sculpted that character for Morris Day from Rick James. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm getting to is, even though you saying they don't have soul, they trying to find themselves. But it starts from the older generation respecting them so they can keep moving.
Word, that's what I was saying.
Sometimes
they already, dog.
You gotta catch
they have their own identity.
And acting how they are.
You gotta catch
if you go back and look at the 90s, the early 90s. Now I'm not talking about the late 90s where everything was hard and like everybody
that's why they
go look at the early 90s, dog.
We wear wide legs, they wear skinny jeans. I mean,
Shaq, even Nas, if you go back and look at them, everybody had on baggy, crazy clothes. Carl cannot. It was colors. Everything was expressive, bro. Like nobody. It was probably 30 different rappers back then, but nobody had the same flavor. My Uncle Sterling said, what's been in these streets gonna be here. They've been here 400 years, and it's gonna be here 400 more. If you go back and look at all the pictures of your grandparents, dog, if you have any, I'm not saying this for that, I don't know situation with people, but guaranteed, dog, if you go back and look at all the clothes that your grandparents wore, something is relevant to right now. Like, you're gonna be like, oh, I have this.
That's really what I'm saying.
It might be a little tighter, or it might be a different way, but even the haircuts. I seen when I was probably 10, I was at my homeboy's house, Andre, in Lorton. He had a picture of his brother who was like 10 years older than us. He had a high top fade. I thought I had the only high top fade in town.
And this was how?
But they was in Germany.
Oh, in Germany.
Before I was born.
Year, though? Like before you was born?
This is before I was born. Like the picture was, I was probably like 10 or 11 at the time, but the picture was on the wall when they was in Germany of what I'm doing now. And I'm like, damn, I thought I was the only one, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and if I go back and I look at the pictures of my grandparents and how they dress now, like, the style has always been in us, man. So it's ever changing. There you go. So it's the width and the length are gonna change, but the style is ever present. There's always gonna be plaid. There's always gonna be polka dots. However you feel about it.
I just stated that, there's always a cycle and it always comes back in one way, but it's just maybe a little bit different. But vintage is cool right now, but I think it was easier being in music back in the early times. It's harder now.
Why would you say that?
Because it's of the exposure. It's like Justin Bieber can make millions based on his TV or on his computer at home. And everybody has that aspect. This generation growing up saw that. So they think that they can be it. So they're just putting out stuff, It's harder for people because of the quantity of it. You have to really, really go look for somebody to be, to find a really good somebody to be labeled. I think it's harder.
If you walk down the street and you see, like, back in the day, you might see one or two people singing, right? But if you walk down, if you take a little walk and you see 20 people singing, you're gonna get tired of hearing people sing by the time you get to your destination at some point or another, especially if they're not that good. Everybody's not gonna be as talented, so that we're in an overexposure moment, which is kind of a great thing, because what Tony was saying is that we didn't come from that. Like, this hip hop is basement and mom and pop bass, right?
I just disagree. I'm sorry.
All right, that's great that you disagree. But let me just get this thought out, because what's gonna happen is that through the oversaturation, it's spilling into other lanes, which is gaming. Like, now these kids they're taking the oversaturation from the music and they incorporate it in video games, and they got different situations that they learn how to monetize through. So, like, it's not bad, it's the old game now. You know what I'm saying? We're 40, well, I am, I must not speak for everybody else. I'm 40, so it's kind of dope to see, like, all right, well, where do they go now? Because we've all had our back against the wall before. But at some point or another, go ahead, Sean.
I think now that I'm on a couple of streaming sites, I know when the new music come out, and it's upon me if I want to listen to it. I don't think me personally, I don't think it's oversaturated. I think it's always been this way. Like, I'm always goes back in the day. Everybody back in the day was trying to play an instrument. I'm just saying a little bit. When I was young, everybody was trying to play an instrument or be in some singing group or some band back in the day, right? And they used to all sing on the corner and all that type of. They was always going to a talent show and talk about they trying to get a deal. And even rappers, oh man, we've been doing this about a year and a half, man. We should be able to get a deal. You know what I mean? Now it's to the point that actually helps them out where they can pick the songs they want out. You know what I'm saying? They can create it how they want to create. You know how many artists, man, that was real inspiring artists that actually probably had OD'd or killed themselves because they felt like they was trapped. Like they was trapped and they couldn't really express their self-creativity like they want to. So I don't think it's oversaturated, man. I'm like, man, like I could make a nice little pocket, but you know, I can't really do music like that.
I think maybe the word that I used may have been.
No. I'm just saying because
because I feel what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, but I think maybe the word that I use, the oversaturation part. I think what it is now that everybody has a cell phone, and that's the way that we don't listen to music in the car no more, or we don't listen to music in the crib no more. So that's changed. So our music experience has become having Bluetooth headphones or earbuds now. So everybody don't have a whole lot of time to consume music the way that we used to. So that's what I mean. Like everybody can press a button now. You know what I'm saying?
Just because I can sing a little bit doesn't mean I should.
All right now.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on now, Amy.
I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but you know.
No, be mean.
Everybody thinks that, you know, the truth is everybody thinks that they can sing. And they can. But some of them shouldn't.
Hold on, y'all. The waitress just asked us if we want some more to drink. I'm about to tell her I'm on some more.
I need one too.
I want to pour this wine I got in my book bag, but it might be a camera in this bitch. I was talking to John early on the ride here, and we was talking about how the medium has changed. Like, we used to listen to records, we used to listen to tapes, we used to listen to CDs, and if my tape broke or my CD got scratched, I had to buy another CD or buy another tape.
And that was the hustle.
Or find somebody to, you know, burn it. And niggas ain't had computers like that. Niggas ain't had CD burners like that.
That was the hustle.
You feel me? And now people don't buy music because they can just download the MP3 from whatever, YouTube, whatever, and artists not making money from that music anymore. And therefore, when people are like streaming music or they're listening to it online, you have to keep hitting people with more and more content because they're bored. Everybody has a short attention span.
It's microwave.
That's why, remember back in the day, like when R&B was out, like the whole, like you might listen to a Sam Cooke joint, it'd be like 10 minutes long. You know what I mean? And it held your attention because you could ride to it. It was smooth. Like now, everything is just like.
Once you realize that all that stuff is they go together. Like
exactly. And we don't have a short attention span being from DC because we grew up on go-go music.
We in there. We like
pocket. We could listen to a pocket beat go on for 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, and dance.
It'd be good.
Man, you know, you also got to look at the fact that it's not bands no more. It's not real bands.
It's
you know,
electronically digital.
When you're in a real band and you play a certain note or you playing a certain riff and the crowd is stuck, you can keep on doing it. You can turn around and tell the band, "Hey, let's stay right here." You feel me?
So basically, what we're saying is that we wish that we had some younger kids that basically would put out music that we can connect with. Because we really can't connect to them.
I was trying to get to my point.
Go ahead, brother.
It's not real bands.
Yeah.
Think about Summer Madness. The first 2 seconds, boom, boom.
No, I got you.
Boom, boom, boom. You stuck.
Bands died. Look, bands died.
And then like once you hear that, you like, oh snap! You didn't.
That's because
there's no more of that now.
They'd rather have dudes dancing.
It's just putting them on the track.
Then bands.
Again, this is what we created.
It ain't even that. It's just like
everything about what I talk to the club.
Bang bang.
Gang gang. I bought a bagella buscabula. I was got this buzz good with ha. I got it was good with ha. Got it was got good.
I think I would be more upset because I see a lot of people from like Jersey and New York doing that same style, and that bothered me when they should have just been to try to make their best music.
They didn't wait for the comeback, man. They tried to jump on the scope.
You hear me? I think that's what really messed up and made it oversaturated. Because I'm gonna tell you something. Them young West Coast boys is coming.
Oh yeah,
they coming, man.
Oh,
they got their own little sound.
That Bay Area crank.
They got their own sound. The Bay Area, and I don't even know if I can mess with it. You know what I'm saying?
I like
but I
Boogie
see what they're doing, and I'm like, oh, they about to come for them.
That West Coast, West Coast is. Who?
He from Compton, West Side Boogie, man.
A lot of them. I never heard of that.
West Coast is a hard 808, high piano, snaps. Boom, boom, boom.
They like to party out there, Jones.
And you know what they do?
They're not like this.
They hear what they say.
You cut that shit and they jump.
Remember crump dancing?
Yeah.
Crump dancing?
Like
now they rapping that way where it's not on beat. It's the space between the beats.
They wait.
I like crunk back in the day.
Yeah, and that's
because crunk was like go-go, was call and response. If you don't give a fuck like we don't give a fuck, somebody let me see you say, you know, everybody, the whole crowd.
Everybody want to feel important, young man.
Yeah, man, I remember the Ritz back in the day, young. That second floor, DJ Analyze and Fat Cat, young. Bammers be ready to fight in that joint, young. They like, hold the music. We hear some people on this side say they got people on that side.
They put on the show.
And then
remember when you used to be in them shows and you walk, you had so much fun. You don't forgot everything that you done did. Your baby mama tripping all the other. You seen her in it, but you had so much fun.
Right.
They take all your stress away. Look, you got the nice joint on that joint on your shoulder. You done sweated out.
Right.
You done lost 300 pounds, so you about 150.
Yeah.
You done lost so much weight, you just feeling good.
Your whole shirt sweating. Now everybody goes to the club and play the wall. Or they pay $300 for a table with some bottles just to post up with them Jones. You know what I'm saying? All
and
night
that's
long.
What a lot of it's our fault.
It
really is. It's our fault.
It might
it's
be
really
our fault.
Dude.
How you figure it's our fault though?
Because they want to be like us. And then at the same time, we would judge them like they judged us.
Yeah, you gotta.
Then they trying to. I could do that too.
You gotta let them live, man. You gotta let young people.
I think it's our fault for supporting the system, like for paying the $50 to get in the club, and the $300. Because if we don't pay for it, they ain't gonna charge us that.
Right.
But that was the only out. I mean, we really didn't have a whole lot of outlets for us coming up.
You was born in the late 80s, right?
In the early 80s.
In the early, I was born in '78. So like when Nintendo came out, my parents didn't pay Atari. When Nintendo came out, I got Nintendo. But back then, all they needed was one. They didn't have to get no more. When Genesis came out, I had to get Genesis.
Yeah.
And I had when 64, I had to get everything that was new, that was popping, and even then every shoe, every time something came, we had to get it. That's our generation. That's our fault. And they ain't doing nothing but doing what we doing.
But we was broke though. We had it, but we had like one. We had one good thing that we wanted, and the rest was stuff that we needed.
Yeah.
Now, these kids parents just give them stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Because they trying to compensate for what they never had, bro. Like they didn't get it themselves. We got a little bit, so it's like you always want to make yourself better than your kids.
Like my mom, she always provided and made sure that we had everything that we needed.
But it's cool to compensate for what we didn't have, but keep that lesson going that you have to earn this.
You have to earn
You can't just get this. You feel me?
A lot of us don't even have that ourselves. So we don't want our kids to feel the burden of what we still experiencing a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of us still trying to figure it out.
My daughter, I reward them for the good things that they do. If they're getting good grades in school, if they're doing their chores, if they're listening to their mother, I'm going to reward it because you're doing a good job. You're doing everything that I'm asking you to do without hesitation. Now, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're not getting this, you're not getting that. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of us are past-minded being, especially with the Vietnam War, all those different things. They really wasn't around, so we had to deal with whoever was around us, the teachers. So we just trying to do, well, we want y'all to have this, we want y'all to have this. You know, I remember I was only child, so I had a lot, but I was never like, I want that. But they would just give it to me. You know what I'm saying? But then I still never really asked my parents, I want that. I've never had a pair of Jordans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I thought it was ignorant to ask my mom and dad for a $100 pair of shoes. But I've seen my friends that had to have them. I seen, you know what I'm saying? And luckily, like my brother does it. I don't know where he got it from. You know what I'm saying? But he found a way to make sure he had a pair of Jordan.
Don't worry about it. We're gonna leave that alone.
But you understand what I'm saying? It's like what they end up. I will say this: like the young generation, they're gonna figure out a way to make it happen because they trade. They doing little things like that. They tired of saying, "Oh, I sell it to you." You know, man, I got these. I sell them to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they trade. They might. They might
so I got something to add on.
Or whatever
to bring it back to the
money.
music. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was getting ready to say that what you were saying about having the bridge between the old and the new music also. What you just said about with your brother, like where he get it from. Like I got something that me and my son do. I have a streaming platform that I use, right? But I created a playlist. And he and I share that playlist. So even when I'm not listening to what I want to listen to, we both add to that playlist.
Word. I'm happy you said that. So
you know what I'm saying? Like that helps me when I'm at work some days. I just go in his playlist and put it on shuffle.
Like I said, I'm
it be a lot of stuff I don't even know nothing about. But I be like, all right, I like this, and I don't like. You know what I'm saying? It give me a leg up.
I did that with my brother, right? And he younger than me, so it might be certain people that like Future. At the same time, you know what I'm saying? And he was doing. When I was looking, I was like, "Who is this dude?" And he's so hyped and so happy. And I was like, "Man, let me see who this dude is." You know what I'm saying? That's like one of his first joints. So like I like August Alsina, right? I like R&B music. So he was like, "Sean, I think you would like this." You know what I mean? And it started for me playing the music. Like I remember we used to. On BT used to have a joint. We always had live shows, and Flip Mode was on there. You know, Flip Mode Squad was on there, and they would do cha 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 cha. He was like 6-7 months, and I didn't know he was watching the TV. I'm driving, and then when he did cha cha, he started dancing to it. You know what I mean? So I put that in him, and like now, if it's something that he know I may like, he'd be like, "Sean, you should check this out. Sean, you check that out." You know what I'm saying?
That's what I was telling John though. It's very important, like outside of music, to pay attention to the people that's close to you, because a lot of times it's the subtle things that people do around you, or they let you into their world. They're not telling you, but you know they really showing you who they are subliminally. You know what I'm saying? So if you spend time with a lot of people, bro, it's good to pay attention to what they listen to, the smells that they burn or whatever like that, because they really giving you an inside track. But a lot of people, we don't know how to speak on it because a lot of the way that we was raised. You know what I'm saying? But like John, he's a very good person on picking up on what's going on around at the time.
Like JayZ, when he did his first album, before that he didn't rap like that. It took some time for him to get
like the
to where he needed to be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he rapped. And that was like
but
I said,
it was bars though.
Yeah,
he was spitting though.
You know what I mean? It took him a minute to get where he needed to be, and then now we have that person. You know what I mean? And sometimes it just they got to try stuff. They got to get it until they can get where they need to be. So I don't know. I know they're being creative. It's a lot of dudes, man. Like I like Kodak Black. I love the way he flow, man. It's so I was like, man, it's hypnotized me. You know what I'm saying?
That the newer generation, it's not about the bars and the flow. It's about the vibe. Like, what I mean by that is, like, the beat puts you in a certain type of mood, and, like, they might just be like, so it might get you hyped and it might get you lit. So they don't even really got to be saying nothing. It's just the feeling that, like, think about it. If you can take Go-Go and the feeling that you get from Go-Go and encapsulate it in a form that is rap and have a certain type of feeling to it, but you ain't really saying nothing, like, what would that sound like? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of like, I guess that's why they call it mumble rap, because like you can't freestyle, you ain't got no talent, so you just mumbling out how you feel, and now it's a vibe because it's almost
hey man, hold on, we forgot about James Brown though, bro, because he was the creator of that. You know what I'm saying? It's a vibrate. It's not about what's coming out your. I think that's what we got focused on dealing with rap, because rap was about the lyrics, right? But before rap, we had funk and soul music, which was about the spirit. It's a vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Back in the day, what was it? The dude that Cool Mo D ate up in a freestyle joint. It was Easy Mo B or some dude. I was watching this joint, and they was like, this dude used to come in and just tear the party up. He was like being at a go-go. He was a head mic man. Busy B, right? It's the same thing, B. Go out there, he just go with whatever the beat is and make, you know what I'm saying, and get everybody hype. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? These young kids, oh, that's tight, the beat. You know what I mean? They just hum into it or just whatever. You know what I mean? Like James Brown.
Well, I can tell you my he's doing is rapping little beats, and he's a, you know, and you know, like acapella, you know, that sound. You don't even need a band anymore because on the phones, you know.
The progression of technology is amazing at this point.
Yeah.
It used to take 20 years to get how you speaking on your son. It used to take 10 to 20 years for adults to get to where they're at now.
And it's funny because all the producers that we grew up with, that we felt like was geniuses, they're so lost. You know that? They so lost because I'm watching Timberland, except for Pharrell, because Pharrell said, I'm just going to make music that make me happy. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I think we just territorial over.
Yeah.
Like, I think every era has some dope shit that happened that people are never, like my uncle, he swear to God that the mothership has landed in South Carolina. It's still there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he don't want to hear nothing else.
That's what changed me.
Straight
when
up.
I seen him and his homeboy listen to the Funkadelics and hitting their legs.
Here you go.
Right? I said, I will never judge these young dudes again. And my hair start growing back. Holla at me.
Dog, for real. But like, I'm laughing while I say it, but at the same time, it's dead serious because even like, if I ask my son right now, who the hardest rapper out right now, he probably gonna say somebody that I think is a sucker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not off of his music, but just like personally, like, this person does this, and the third, but you're only listening to what he does for you sonically. You're not judging him as a person. You know, not that you should judge him, but you're not looking at it from what you should be looking at it from. Like, you can't support somebody who rapes children and take that joint seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think we should start looking
not speaking on nobody in specific, but you
I
know
think we
what
should
I'm
start
saying.
judging producers. I think we look at the face of the music so much, but sometimes if you got a banging mixer and banging producer, man, we should start judging them because they the ones sometimes.
They're the curators of the
making
sound,
these
bro.
dudes really on point.
I think that we're just going, we evolve. You know what I'm saying? Us as a people, you know, we evolve in everything. Whenever everybody copycats everything that we do, hands down. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? So with us, you know, having the jazz and then having the R&B and then having the rap music and now we got mumbo rap or whatever it is.
So we're the most
copied.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the most duplicated all over around the world, dog. We're the number one source of.
Once we're copied, then we move on to something else.
Yeah.
And then we make something else trendy. We keep on going with it. We keep on running with it. And everybody chases after us and what we do.
But you know why we ever changing is because we're never fully accepted.
Right. Exactly.
So we always have to create something new.
Exactly.
Oh,
We
well,
can make
and,
something
all right,
out of
they learned what we said last week. Let's change it up.
Right.
So,
That's like being in jail and, you know what I'm saying, with us making swoles. Then now Martha Stewart is making money off of it.
That's right. There you go. Big boss.
Right.
And once we accept that, like what we talking about now about these kids, right, and the stuff that they doing, we understand they kids,
right,
and eventually, you out? Oh, okay. Once we do that and accept, okay, they doing that now, support them, and then watch them move forward. Okay, I give you 6ix9ine, right? I seen him on the Breakfast Club. He was trying to express certain stuff, and they was dissing him. Then when he came back, almost 8 months later, right? He was different, hair a certain way. Look, he a millionaire now. You know what I'm saying? Even though, regardless, whatever, I'm just saying in general. And they respected him. And it was to the point now, like, look, you are very important to this culture right now.
Right.
You got to pull back on that. I'm sorry.
No, you good.
You got to pull back on that.
Right.
Because we see where you going. Like, he had just did, I think, the Breakfast concert. And he wasn't allowed to be in there, so Envy snuck him in. Cardi B was closing the show, and he ripped it. Like, it's like, okay, he the one got these kids out there. You know what I'm saying? So, but us,
Even though the parents
it's like
not going-
Soulja
the
Boy.
parents
I
wasn't
remember when
supporting
Soulja Boy came out and hearing Snoop and people dissing.
It was all 4XTs and bathing their
to me
tennis
came
shoes,
from.
John.
They said, Karis want to ask him and say, man, who'd you look up to? Who's your favorite rapper? He said 50 Cent. And this is what, 05, 04?
Because that was in his
Of
generation.
course.
Right, that's his
Of course,
generation,
that's his
right.
generation. Stop. And Karis One got to look at it like, wow, because, bro, you came out in 83.
Right.
84. Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to, you know what I'm saying? So I just think we got to be a step ahead. We know we move fast. We know we creative. So once you do that, maybe some of the old heads get with them and respect them, and then something can come out of it.
Right.
I think a lot of these producers, I'm going to be honest with you, I think Dr. Dre did a disservice to a lot of people.
Why you say that?
Because I feel like, for instance, one of the king. Word is born. I'm a West Coast dude, so to me, one of the kings of Cali is E40, and E40 should have had an album produced by Dr. Dre, and I think that's wrong.
Straight up.
E40 spoke on that.
I straight up disagree.
Why you disagree?
You can all day.
Nah, fuck that.
No, I'm an East Coast dude all day, but for what he did to revolutionize gangster rap with his beats alone, you gotta give him respect.
No, I'm giving this props, but I still think he should have done an album.
That's
E40.
like you being from where you from,
hey, man.
And then a nigga from
Let me tell
Petersburg.
you, Go-Go went really national when they took Sprinkle Me and put a Go-Go beat to it.
Come on, bro.
I'm being honest with you. I had people calling me, "Oh, Sean, you heard that Sprinkle Me? They got a Go-Go beat with it." Lil Jon had a Go-Go song, so I had people hitting me on MySpace. Remember MySpace? Yo, you hear that Lil Jon, Joe?
MySpace.
But okay. E40 was independent for the longest, even though the studio job.
Like shit.
King of Cali. Like he came out about the time NWA did. You know what I'm saying? He should have had an album produced by Dre.
E40 spoke on that. He was on live and somebody asked him about that. And he was like, Dre ain't never, holler at me, but luckily he's been fortunate enough to make hot music without him.
Music, I mean, I'm not knocking it. For me being a hip hop head, I would love to see a collab. That's how I look at it. Like, okay, this dude got to a point. I would love to hear him or such and such being in the studio together. You know what I mean? What would come from that? And I think a lot of those dudes like Timberland and all them, I think they need that. I think somebody outlandish they get in the lab together and then they put out an album. We'll still buy it, and guess what's gonna happen? These young dudes is gonna buy it too.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel E40 on what he said though, because like you don't really necessarily need a Dre. You're gonna keep continuing without him, but it'd be dope, you know what I'm saying, to have that. And you pay him homage, you know what I'm saying, but like at the same time you gotta keep the wheels going, like, because I can't let another nigga's success hold me back from doing what I gotta do.
I'm just, this is my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I would have loved to hear it.
Like I'd love to do a joint with I don't know, Wale, you know what I'm saying?
Word.
But for the culture. But at the same time, I'm gonna keep doing me. You feel me? Like
no, I got you. But I feel like when somebody brought that up, I was like, wow, they never done a track or anything. And I just thought that
Dre
was dope.
didn't do a beat for a lot of West Coast niggas that's dope. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Like.
I think the Mumbo sauce is getting real hot and sticky around
this.
Y'all
niggas whispering and shit. Y'all ain't even I don't know what's going on. I'm about to turn the mic off.
Never let me out.
Fresh out, ain't nothing to go back.
Shout out Mr. Commodore.
So sticky when we had it on the finger. That's platinum. Yeah. I might have to come back for that.
We get real excited up here at Mumbo Sauce Radio sometime, y'all.
Hey, man.
They stirred that sauce.
Yeah, he did.
Ain't no lumps of nothing.
Don't let it stick.
Lord knows. They grow up looking like you.
Shit, man.
All right, big bro.
This concludes this episode of Mumbo Sauce Radio.
I'm saying, everything.
For sure.
I mean, there's a little.
Sound of one, hey, put your ball, do something.